Okay, back to Sean Snowday Presents. We're here with Misty, Indy, and Simon. And it's really funny. I was just reading on a Facebook page, and I can't remember her name, but she's old school blogger, speaker. I've known her about 15 years, if not 20. And she was talking about, she's kind of complaining about the traffic. She's a blogger and how the traffic has slowed down, and all of her displayed ads, like she's making less money, being that all these all this AI has come out. And so I wanted to kind of explore that and see what you guys know about that. Again, my name is Sean Snowday. I don't know much about AI. That's why I bring on the experts, such as India, Misty, and Simon. So good morning.
Good morning.
So we were just talking about Google kind of being like, no one's really searching on Google anymore. I guess you had searched like for a pair of shoes, but not so much for answers. So what do you guys, what's your experience on that, or what are you thinking about that?
Well, I know that I don't Google. I go to chat.
Okay. Well, I run an SEO agency and Google Ads agency, so we see what's happening across multiple industries, and there's a number of reasons a blogger might be losing traffic. AI is one of it. Another reason is Google itself. Google itself is making it harder for the small guy to play in Google, so that could be impacting her as well. Was she a blogger about multiple things or one specific topic?
She's a coach.
And does she talk about lots of different things on her website?
Probably just specific niche stuff, because she's back from the day where you had a niche. Sorry about my camera. It does.
Yeah. So my answer at the moment is going to be about Google. What Google is doing now is they're rewarding big brands, and they're rewarding sites that are very tight on what they talk about. So if India has a blog about divorce coaching, but then she also talks about plumbing and roofing for whatever reason. I don't know why. You would never would. But that confuses Google. Are you a plumber, or are you a coach, a divorce coach? So when it sees that, then it just says, I don't really recognize this site as an expert in any one field. So they kind of like demote the whole site, because it's a site-wide thing. What is the central idea about the site? So if you're trying to be everything to everyone, you'll be nothing to anyone. No one will ever see it because it's too broad. If there's a few sites that get away with it, Reddit, Wikipedia and stuff, but for the small guy, you've got to stay very focused on what you're doing now. So that blogger might be talking about too many things outside of our central idea of the website. Of course, it could also be that Google is stealing some of her traffic, because Google is presenting, if they're using Google, they may get an answer right at the top, the AI answers, and then they never see her website at the bottom of the page. Of course, the third option is more and more people are using Perplexity and different, chat, Search GPT and the other LLMs. They are small at the moment. They seem to be stealing a small amount of traffic. I think that's going to grow. Perplexity is the big one at the moment, but OpenAI has launched Search GPT. I don't have access to it yet, but we'll see what impact that has. So there's multiple things that could be going on with that blogging site. So you'd have to look, is it Google, or is it AI, or is it something else? It could be an SEO technical thing, or it could be AI as well. Most likely it's a combination of all of them,
So how's everyone else using these for search or for learning? I use it for copy, but and for writing code, but that's about it.
I work. Oh, sorry.
Go, Miss, go.
Yeah, I work with a lot of coaches, and I think it's a dangerous topic to bring up if you don't have proof of what's actually happening. Because I don't know this lady. I don't know who you're talking about, but I would like to see the proof that she's losing traffic, because I don't know that that's actually happening right now. So there's a couple of things. Number one, because I work with coaches, first of all, you should be blogging because you're building authority. How do you build authority? By sharing your knowledge, expertise, and experience, right? How do you do that? Through your content, right? Which obviously is displayed on your blog. the secondary, in my opinion, the secondary benefit is the SEO benefit, which is obviously bringing traffic to your website. But, you know, SEO from Google's perspective is only one way to generate traffic. If you're leveraging it and sharing it on social media, you're going to generate activity there and bring people in there as well. And I think a lot of people have leaned more towards that anyways in the last 5-ish years, maybe more, where they're taking control of it because the algorithm is constantly changing. They don't control it. There's more competition. I mean, the list goes on and on, right? So it's dangerous that they bring up the subject and say, oh, it's not working anymore, because that's not true. I don't know what her perspective in terms of it's not working anymore means to her. Maybe she's not getting paid as much on her ad displays. That may be true, but show me the proof of it, because that's a dangerous thing to just kind of blanketly put out there, because that will make other people shy away from creating content, which already is work. And coaches don't really want to prioritize that, at least the ones I've been working with. You know, they want to have an excuse not to blog and not to create content sometimes, just because of the long list of things that we have to, you know, we have to do. But we need to stay on top of our content game. So hear me loud and clear. If you're listening to this, keep blogging.
Well, let's kind of dig into that, because as you know, we all probably have to create content. This right here, what we're doing is content. I don't know how well this translates to be monetized, but it's more of a branding thing. But how do you when you were saying that blogging and, you know, just all the old school ways, and people find excuses not to blog, which I totally get, because I can't even get people to do anything, you know. So what are some things, some old school things that you have seen are still working in the organic world? I know India does a lot of testimonials and stuff.
I do. Yeah, I do. I get testimonials that bump me up to the top, but also I do a ton of content creation, but it's mostly on social media. I don't blog as much as I should. I just don't find it as effective. That's just me. I think I get more out of just doing videos, taking this, recreating a little short for YouTube. I mean, I take so much content, I repurpose it, but it's usually in a video format. I do write. I mean, I am a writer, but I just find the video and the social is, for me, a little more effective than blogging. I mean, I have a blog. It's kind of being ignored right now because I do so much other content creation.
Yeah. I mean, it depends where your market is, really, doesn't it? If your market is really on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, that's where you want to be. If they're not going to Google and searching for it, you know, maybe it's more important to be where they are. But from a Google perspective, an organic perspective, things have changed a lot in the last few years of how you should write your content. We have a very thorough SOP of how to write content so Google still likes it. So it's not like it was 5-6 years ago where you could just blog and, oh, Google's, I love this. It's got to be written in a very specific way now. They use a lot of machine learning and everything to figure out who is the best person about this, who covers this specific topic the best. If you just write in a 500-word blog about X, and Tony Robbins is writing about X as well, Tony's going to win because he's a much bigger name and he probably has a lot more, you know, he probably writes a longer than 500 words. So if you want to do SEO, there's a specific way to do it now, not just think of a topic in the morning and write about it. You've got to plan it out and figure out how that page
comes back to me, because, you know, it's all about me. But and how lazy I am. If I was to have a blog, I would just go into AI and say, write something about this and copy and paste it on the blog. And then, so would that help with SEO or?
Not out the box. It's good. It'll probably read reasonably well, especially if your prompt was pretty good. But real often, almost always, it's never quite good enough. You've got to do some other things. You've got to do a lot more research to figure out what exactly should be in there. When you just asked in an AI, it's just spitting out something it's been trained on. You know, it's only been trained up to 2023 or wherever. All the different models are finished training at a certain point. So they're just going to come up with an answer that is, it'll be reasonably good, but it might not be the best. If you want to, you have to do a lot more work to make it really work for Google anyway. It might be fine for social media because they just want a short answer, and but for Google or Bing, you've got to do a few more things.
I have a couple of tips from a strategy standpoint. So one of the things I encourage clients to do is do what we're doing here today, which is a Facebook Live call, right? So you do a Facebook Live call, you transcribe that call, you plug it into, the Chat GPT. I call them G, just because I talk fast. I can't say it. So you plug them into G, and then have G organize it based on Google's EAT, EEAT.
Yes.
Format, right? Which is what Google wants to see. They want a good quality, valuable, relevant article. Well, a lot of times when you're doing your Facebook Lives, there might be some things that you may have missed from the EAT perspective. So you can add that in afterwards. So it adds added value. So people who like to consume videos can watch the video on your blog. Obviously that video is posted on Google, which is the #2 search engine. And then they're have the ability to watch that watch that video on your blog. And then you have the written word, right? So there's some people who like to read. So you have that, you have the SEO advantage. And then to India's point, then you can take that video, break it up into multiple pieces of micro content is what I call it, which are basically little hooks that lead people to the long form content. You can drive them to YouTube if you want to. You can drive them to your blog if you want more control over, what they see, when they see it, and the offers that you're presenting in front of them. So there's a multi-prong approach here. I guess at the end of the day, we're talking about blogging, but really we just need to stay focused on creating content.
Yeah.
However you distribute it.
It's good you bring that up, Misty. Eats is very important. Yeah. And that's a whole site thing. It's about your expertise, your authority, your trust. You have to do more than just blog. You have to do exactly like you said, spread your knowledge everywhere, LinkedIn, yes. And that's sort of, one of the things they look at is this person authority in this space? Are they talking in these other places? Actually, even do they have patents? Do they have technical papers? Do they have citations in learned journals? All that type of stuff is one of the things they try to look at anyway. To determine if you're a true expert authority in that space. So doing exactly what you said, Musty, is a big part of that. It's spreading your message where it matters.
I think it's going to,
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I think it's going to be even more important that we do that in the future, because with the AI tools, we can do voiceovers. I mean, shoot, I use Riverside for my podcast, and I can plug in a script in Riverside and it will literally read it. It read it. I did not know which one was me recording and it reading it for me. That's how good it is. And we have tools now that obviously can have a human being talking and it looks like you. So all of those things are coming. We can't stop them. Well, they're not coming. They're here. And we can't stop them. So I think it's just more important that we authentically show up in as many places as we can, so that people know that we are a real human, that we have a real life, and that, we have an authentic point of view to share with them that can benefit them. So
that's exactly right. Well, that's what we've been seeing. We've been doing some experiments and stuff, and you can ask the different AIs about, if you ask it about a brand, then has it actually been encapsulated in their model? Because some of the, we do some tests, we make up personas and see which one of them ends up in the different AIs. So we know, okay, it's read our content somehow. So, and sometimes it pulls it from LinkedIn, sometimes it pulls it from Yelp. These AI models, when they're being trained, are pulling from everywhere on the web that's publicly available. They use a thing called Common Crawl, which goes out and encapsulates the whole web at a certain point. So having your content in as many places gives you the biggest opportunity to actually get into the AI and be maybe part of the answer when you ask a specific question. So
in formats, because I don't know what the algorithm is. I have no idea.
No one really knows.
Yeah. But I'm assuming that if I'm the type of person that consumes a ton of video content, that it's going to feed me up video content over blogs, written blogs, right? So that's also to take into consideration. Multiple formats can help you reach more people because it's probably going to start, if it isn't already, serving up the type of content that you prefer to consume.
They don't seem to do that quite yet. It's mostly textual at the moment, but I bet you it's coming. I bet you that, because there's certain people like to listen, certain people like to watch a video. Yeah. So yeah.
So there's this old school technique that this guy talked about, and this is many years ago, and it was called the triangle of trust. And what it had to do with is he was saying, if you want to sell lawnmower blades, right, you're not just going to go online and say, I sell lawnmower blades. What you do is you'd make a video on YouTube. So, this is after 2003. But anyhow, you make a video and you'd say, hey, did you see the game the other day? Did you see that diamond cut that they did on that? I'm going to show you how to do that diamond cut on the baseball field with my lawnmower. Oh, by the way, if you wanted to buy this lawnmower, go over to my website. And then it's like, hey, this is the lawnmower, but this lawnmower, the blades dull out, so you really need to buy new blades. So if you want to buy those, go over here to my e-commerce. But so that's the content being it's not really being repurposed, but it's pointing you in the direction of the purchase. But what you guys are talking about, it doesn't have that triangle of trust. It's more just repurposing the content and getting you out there in front of more eyes and ears, right?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of compresses your knowledge about you into the model somehow. The way it trains it is it's got a compressed version of everything about you that it can read on the web. So it's so when you generate something about, if it knows everything about India, when I ask the AI about India, it's going to generate something new based on the knowledge it has. It's not going to repurpose necessarily anything it's read about. So it's because it doesn't store everything, it stores it in a compressed way. So when it generates something about India, it'll be new almost it'll be if you do the same prompt over and over again, it starts to look repetitive, but you'll see that it's not like anything that it was fed into it often.
That's a fun prompt to put in. What do you know about Misty Cordes? What do you know about India Kern? Right?
I did that.
What it comes up with.
I do that.
I did that too.
Yeah.
I've just got another plugin now that plugs into 6 different AIs. Do the same prompt for 6 different AIs, and you'll see which ones know about you and which ones don't.
Oh, cool.
It's like Googling yourself, only it's the new version of it.
Yeah, it's the new AIing yourself. Yeah. Am I in the model yet?
Yeah, but doesn't it depend how much content you have out there?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, are you saying that the algorithm or whatever, the spiders or the search or whatever, can they read what's being said in video? Because I know I did a meetup one time, and this is probably in 2010, and I put a song in the on YouTube in the background, and then I got violated for using that copyright. So can the AI now watch this video and understand what's being said?
I don't think at the moment, because that's computationally heavy, but they can be potentially trained on the transcripts of YouTube. Like I know OpenAI use YouTube to train its model on the transcripts against the terms of service of YouTube, but they did it anyway. So some of the models do use some of the YouTube data. OpenAI does. I don't know about the others, but they don't in real time look at videos because that's a lot of processing power that they just don't want to waste at the moment.
For now it is.
But I do want to point out that it will individually look at a video. So if you share a video with it, it will look at that. Just to differentiate the difference.
So Google provides a really cool tool called Notebook LM. Are you familiar with that? Where you can upload videos, so if you've got if Misty, you've got a load of videos about something, you can plug it into this Notebook LM, and it'll read the transcriptions, and then you can you can ask it questions about those videos. You can get a table of contents, a study guide, a frequently asked questions based on those videos. And it'll even produce a 10, 15, 20-minute podcast based on that.
That's
I
awesome.
don't know if you've heard it yet. It sounds so good. There's two readers talking to each other. And it's based on the content you've put into this notebook. It's quite a really, it's actually one of the really good research tools now, I think. You know, if you're deep diving into a subject, that may be a thing to do. Probably a bit better than Perplexity because you can group it all together. Although Perplexity now I've got something called Spaces to do something similar. But the thing about Notebook LM is, especially for your coaches, they can put some of their content there. Mm-hmm. Then they can generate a podcast that is, 5, 10, 20 minutes. And then they can use that in the podcast platforms. And it's not their voice. It's not their voice now. Yeah. So there is a little bit of a problem there. But then you could probably go to 11 Labs and change the voices.
Yeah.
But it's a quick way to generate content in multiple formats. If you've got the video, you can now generate some content from it, and then you can generate a podcast from it.
So I kind of want to shift over. So okay, you guys, I'm super, super lazy, and I don't pay attention to anything. And so this lady wrote this thing on Facebook saying like AI is killing blog traffic and I'm not making any money. So then I made a headline and I put this, so we're using Restream right now. This is streaming out, but then it also posts, I know on my LinkedIn, but then it asks for a description. So I'll say, well, this is what we're going to talk about. And I'll just go in AI and write a description about this title. And I will not even read it. I'll just copy and paste it and because I have to put something in there. And I don't really know what we're going to be talking about. This is a flow of consciousness. So I don't think the description's that important as long as it's in line. But then I said, write a tagline. So the tagline is rewriting the rules of engagement, right? So what are the new rules of engagement in this new world we're in with what you guys are talking about?
I guess I don't understand the question. What was the question?
Either do I.
The rules.
How do you engage with people? What are the, like, all of this AI stuff, everything's going out. But if people aren't engaging with us and connecting with us, I don't even care about connecting. They can go, oh, I really resonate with that. I just saw a video today, Kurt Cobain singing, whatever it was.
Is that an AI?
It was Smells Like Teen Spirit video, and then all these people ran on the stage, and then there's like these guys doing an Irish dance, and then they all turned into hippopotamuses, and the hippopotamus was playing that. I resonate with a hippopotamus playing.
So was that all AI generated? That was a new video or something?
Yeah, but I'm not engaged. I'm not. So what? How do
you are engaged? So engagement is a interesting word because it doesn't mean just one thing. It does. I mean, what does engagement mean? Well,
that's the question.
Right. It could be you just snapshotted. I mean, I have a million.
Me too.
Not quite that many, thousands though, of snapshots on my phone. That's an engagement, and they track that, right? So a like, a comment, a share, the standard typical is an engagement. Watching the video is an engagement. Commenting, is an engagement. So there's lots of ways that people can engage. So I think that we're finding that I know that we're finding less and less people are actually liking, commenting, and sharing, but they are still engaging with the content. So that data really relies on the platforms to be tracking that for us as creators. And
I have a good example.
Yeah.
I have a good example. So I do divorce coaching. So a lot of people don't want to comment or like it because they might be thinking about divorce. But I look at the analytics and I can see like what does well, but I won't get a lot of likes. But it doesn't bother me because I know people are watching it. But it makes sense why they wouldn't like it, right? I mean, why would you like it, especially if you're on the fence and you're debating whether you should move forward with divorce? So to your point, I think people are, especially in my field, are less, they're not liking and commenting as much as they're viewing. So the
So one of
engagement's there.
So one of the things that Misty told me, because I should have known this, but I'm too, again, is you could say type love in the comments, and then that will kick off Messenger, and then they can DM. So that would get you engaged because they'll DM with you. So it sounds like your call to action would be more of DM me, or
I would call it an interaction.
okay.
Like,
So now we're on different words.
Yeah, because an engagement
Right.
does mean lots of different things.
Right.
I just think that eventually we're going to have to segment what engagement actually means, you know,
Okay.
Yeah.
because it just means too many things right now and it's confusing. But an interaction is when someone comments on a post, right? And so you can initiate a chatbot to spark or initiate the conversation, you know, because nobody's sitting on social media waiting for a comment to come in, right? Well, I hope you're not. But when it does, you want something to engage with that person immediately following that, to start the conversation up. And then you can have the chatbot take over, that you train it, or you can have it just alert you to say, hey, this person, you know, commented, you should jump in and take over the conversation. So there's multiple ways you can approach it.
Can you do that in LinkedIn or just in Facebook?
I don't do LinkedIn. I do more Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
So I'm not sure.
You can do something similar to that in LinkedIn. Yeah, you can private message people. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying, can you automate it?
I definitely think you can, because I get them all the time.
Yeah,
like if I comment, I get immediately something, and I know it's not a person.
Then I have that software. Then I got to start.
LinkedIn doesn't like it. There's been, you know, LinkedIn become a bit of a spam fest over there for people trying to get business, you know. So there is. So it's hard to get. Some of the bots that we used to work don't work anymore. Can you connect a chatbot? Maybe, I don't know. I bet you someone's already done it. It's probably out there. I've not seen them. I've seen them more on Facebook and other places. But
and people know that it's not authentically you responding, but at least, like I said, at least it starts that initiation.
It can sound pretty much like you if you train it right. So it can sort of be a pseudo you, you know. But yeah, you can often tell. Although some people can't tell that chatbots are not human. They have some people, they've passed the Turing test on some people, which is
well, that with the automated marketing summit coming up, and Johan actually talks about that, saying that, you know, that people would rather talk with AI because then the emotion is taken away. You know, and so that's a good thing. But I really think this customer journey, and I really like what Misty said about engagement and has everyone here been married before?
Still married.
So you guys know, you know, in the word engagement, right? Engage. In the middle of it is the word gag, just so you guys know. But so we go from engagement to interaction, but then to monetization. Like so the whole customer journey, like we're all doing this to get $1. I don't know. Maybe the kids are doing it just to have followers, just for the bragging rights in high school of how many followers they have. I know some people are doing some pretty dramatic stuff just to get views. You know, if there's a car accident, it's like, are you going to help that person, or are you just going to video them, right?
Well, the followers, I want to bring up a point, because the followers have less weight more and more every day. TikTok changed that, right? When they came out with the platform, they basically did away with the need for followers, because they're now serving up content based on interests rather than who's following you and who's not. So they changed the game, and Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn kind of had to follow suit in putting less emphasis on the number of followers and more emphasis on making sure they're serving up the content that you're consuming.
Right.
So
that's a great thing. That's a great
thing.
Yeah. So that means you're competing with everyone. I mean, but like, you know, you're real, you're short, you're, of course, people that are watching it, if they're interested in this one thing, they'll get more of it. But you have more competition. And I know people used to get bent out of shape about their followers not growing, but it really doesn't matter, because if this content is good, it's going to be put out there.
So one of the things social media is great and all this, but one of the things is you should be doing is going back to the old school way of getting an email address. That's, if you can build up an engaged newsletter, we're starting to do that with some of our clients. Old school newsletters are working better than they ever did because people are consuming it on their cell phone. So, you actually can give them all the information they need just in the newsletter now, and don't send them over to their website or something. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing fairly good success with using newsletters in certain niches. Because, all these Facebook places and everything is great, but you really want an email address.
Well, you can get that. You can get the email from that. I mean, I get it from Instagram all the time because I have a lead magnet.
Yeah. Well, you have to do it that. Yeah. So you have to. You use all the socials to get the name and email address and telephone number, so you can email and SMS them.
So
and then you can do all the keep stuff, all the fancy keep stuff that Sean does.
Yeah. Well, that what India just said. Okay, so there's a movie called Jackass, and Steve-O was on some television show, and the guy asked Steve-O, "Hey, what is that?" He pointed at the tattoo, and Steve-O got all pissed off because the guy was really saying, "You didn't watch my movie," because what he did is he went in a Humvee and they went on whoop-de-doos, and he got a tattoo while the Humvee was doing whoop-de-doos. I don't know if you ever saw the movie, but it's very spiritual. And so when India said lead magnet, I was like, ooh, Misty, because Misty talks about, do you want to talk about that a little bit or about?
I put, so obviously the lead magnet still matters. I say this, put that out there. But I think what matters most is creating a frictionless lead generation system. And what that basically means is meeting your prospects, your customers, where they're at, and not asking them or not forcing them through a funnel you want them to go through, but rather just seamlessly introducing them to content that you've created, so that they almost don't even realize that they're being guided. Right. So an example of this might be where you're sharing a video and they get to watch the video ungated, so without having to opt in. And then at some point in the video, you kind of stop it and say, hey, if you like what you're seeing, give me your email address and I'll let you watch the rest. That's a very simple example of that.
India, do you have Voomly?
I do.
Did you know it does that?
I knew it was gated. I knew that.
No, you could watch a video and then it'll stop and it'll go, give me your email, and then I'll let you continue.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's ungated and then gated. So right when it gets to the juicy parts, you gate it, right? Yeah. So that's one example of it. But really, what people want is they want to know they can know, like, and trust you. I mean, that has not changed. And so if we can lead with ungated content, blogs, podcasts, videos, Facebook Lives, ungated content, so that they can get a taste of who you are, your knowledge, your expertise, your point of view, and then they like what they see, then you can guide them to the next most logical step, whatever that may be. What I've been doing a lot, I can't remember in my own business the last time I really set up a landing page, because what I've been doing is sharing documents that I have in my Google Drive, and I just force a copy on it. So I'm just giving these resources away, and I say there's no opt-in required. Just click it and you get it. That builds trust instantly when you're not forcing them to a landing page where they have to fill out the form to get the goodie. And so many people have been burned by lead magnets that just aren't delivering what they say they would. So here you get to prove you're a person of your word. Here's something valuable. And then on the resource, you can guide them to the next step. That might be a video, that might be something else that they opt into or whatever.
Yeah. But back to, so that's really good. But then back to email marketing, because we all know email is dead, right? They've been saying that for at least the past 15 or 20. I mean, it's so funny when I hear that and I'm like, wait a minute, how did you log into your social media? But now you could use your phone, right? Then that I couldn't say that anymore. But now the interaction, right? So there's this guy, he wrote a book saying, don't say that. Is that what it's called? Don't say that?
I've not read that.
Okay, well, I don't want to like promote him too much, but anyhow, and he got sued for saying certain things. So he wrote a book saying, don't say this in marketing.
Oh.
And then he said, if you opt in here, you know, you're going to get my book in digital format. Well, I never got the book, right? So it's like, well, go to my Facebook page. So then I'm like, okay, well, I'll join your Facebook group and maybe the book's in there. But then I couldn't find the book. Now I'm like, hey, man, dude, you told me I was going to get a book. So guess how I'm going to connect with him? I'm going to just reply to the email and say, hey, how do I find the book? Or did I misunderstand? You know, I won't be mean, but that's where the interaction is taking place. So Simon, you're saying that's taking place more often now, right?
Yeah. I was just thinking about Misty's sharing of Google Docs. There's a little trick you can do to get people's emails using that method. Maybe, I don't know if you know, you may know it.
I do. It's kind of black hat-ish, so I don't really share it because it's a fine line between consent to continue to communicate or not consent. So that's the tricky part.
I'll share it on Friday, but I don't think it's black hat. You know, if they're engaged enough, they'll do it. Yeah.
I don't know legally if it is black hat, unless maybe you have a checkbox or something.
Maybe it's something different. I'll share with you on Friday what it. I don't think it's black hat at all. It's just
Yeah, and what, you know, I don't do cold email.
I'm curious what your method is now. I wonder if it's the same one.
Well, I do know that some people are sharing Google Docs, and obviously when they have to request the share, you're getting their best email address because obviously.
Exactly, yeah.
But and then you can set up a zap that when they come in, you automatically push them.
Oh,
that's black hat.
Now you've blown it. Yeah, okay. It's not black hat. That's marketing. That's marketing.
Right.
For sure.
So is that opting in?
Well, yeah, they requested the share. They requested the information.
I would say it is.
Yeah.
I'm specifically putting on my no opt-in required, and I'm not asking for consent to continue to communicate with them. I'm just giving them a resource.
I mean, yeah.
But so usually what I do is I give them the free resource as a free goodwill, right? And then within the resource, I'm asking them to move to the next most logical step, which is usually something else that they have to require. That requires an opt-in or something.
So it would be like you send them socks, and then you're like, well, now, like, who wears socks without shoes? Except, you know, your children now in elementary school because people let them go in their pajamas and their cat suits. I don't know what that's all about. But once they get the socks, then you're like, okay, now you need shoes. And then that's like the true opt-in. And you can even do a double opt-in at that point. But
may I say something? I'm so used to opt-ins that it doesn't even bother me. Like, I get stuff all the time and I don't mind. I mean, I give my email away. I have a junk email, you know, that I give away. And then if I don't want to get their stuff, I just unsubscribe. So I don't know that many people are opposed to opt-ins because they're so used to it. I mean,
but here's the thing about the Google sharing of the Google files is that now that is your actual email. That's not a junk email.
Yeah,
that's your real email.
The Google you use the most.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I want to bring up though, Simon kind of hit on this, which is really important because we're seeing this trend right now, is the revival of the newsletter. Like it's been revived. For years I said nobody wants to subscribe to your newsletter because they don't want more junk in their inbox. But people are reinventing the newsletter right now. It's almost like a mini. I used to have a magazine when I first started my business over a decade ago now. And it was a lot of work because it was it was a full-blown magazine, right? But people are making like mini magazines out of their newsletters and adding real value. And people are actually paying to subscribe to newsletters nowadays. So I think that it's a great lead. It can be a great lead gen source, but actually when you add a price tag to it, let's say it's $2 a month, $3 a month, you're now elevating that saying, hey, I promise to deliver and here's what you're going to get. And people are willing to pay for it because it's good.
So I pay for one.
Yeah.
I pay for one.
I think you can use it as a replacement for blogging to some degree because it's, you know, people don't read blogs as easily on their phone as they do a newsletter, which is much more simplified. It doesn't have lots of.
I do that. I don't really blog anymore.
And that's so we're seeing pretty good open rates with our, you know, in the 30% range open rates with our newsletters that we're doing. So
and this might be a trend that's kind of starting because it's so right now, obviously we need to create content. We all talked about that. But you know, as AI tools continue to take more traction and people are producing content and the algorithms are changing, we can't predict what it's going to look like even a year from now, right?
No.
Because things are happening so fast. But this might be a precursor to where content is going, in that we have less control about what the algorithm does and how it drives traffic to us, but we have more control in what we share in our content, in actually getting paid for it now. So rather than giving away all this free, amazing stuff on our blogs for free in hopes that we can get some traffic to our site so we can sell some stuff, right? AKA marketing. Now, instead, we don't have to do all that. We save our best stuff for our newsletter for $3 a month, and we're actually getting paid to grow our subscriber list, paid to gain our followers. I think it's a thing that if we look beyond the scarcity of AI is going to take over the world, which it might, but if we look beyond that, I think there's opportunity there that some of us are missing because we're in that scarcity mode.
I have a question for Simon with SEO. So the blog, the reason I had the blog is for the SEO to hit all the keywords, right? So is that dead, or is that
no, it's not dead yet. It's not dead yet. Google is going to try its best to keep it alive.
Okay.
You know, the game. I guess the verdict is still out whether or not Search GPT and Perplexity will truly replace Google. I think it's going to replace it at a certain level. It's already has. When you do a lot of informational searches now, you'll get AI results. You know, or if I'm doing research now, I go to Perplexity. I don't use Google at all. So there's going to be a shift. I just don't know how big that shift will be. We have a lot of local clients, and there's not really an impact on that yet. It's, you know, plumbers and electricians and people like that. Google, those types of things, there actually are in the AI, but people are still going to Google for them mostly. When they want an emergency plumber or an electrician or something, they're still going to Google. That may shift, you know, things will shift. You can go to these AIs and ask, who is the best plumber in my area in San Diego? And and that's a good reason to use Facebook reviews and Yelp reviews. It actually uses those to come up with the answer, and it'll come up with the top 3 guys. And it's based on your Facebook reviews or your Yelp or your Google. It just pulls from different places.
That's really good information right there.
Yeah, that is. I'm writing it down.
I wish you wouldn't have said that. You should have said that at Automated Marketing Summit this Friday.
I'm an open book. If you ask me the question, I'll just answer it.
People should also go down the rabbit hole of researching the Web 3.0. Michael Stelzner, is that how you say his last name?
Yeah.
From
Social Media
Examiner. He has a podcast on this. I'm not a super techie. I'm a marketer. I'm a communicator. I'm a relationship builder, that kind of thing. Right. But the techie stuff I can utilize, but he really dives deep into the Web 3.0. And I think, you know, there was Web 1.0, which was basically just, you know, text driven.
It was
read only.
Disruptive.
Yeah.
So just, do you guys remember when you had to be invited to get a Gmail? Are you guys that old?
Yeah.
Remember that second?
I don't.
You're like, oh man, that guy has a Gmail, and then you could invite 4 people.
Yeah,
oh,
wow. That's how they grew, because it's like, and then everybody wanted to have one because you had to be invited. That's how I got shown Snow Day at gmail.com. But anyhow, the internet used to be, this is just some old school stuff. The internet used to be, if you went to a website, it would pop something up. Hey, you know this, and hey, that, but you couldn't interact. Exactly. And Web 2.0 was when you could comment.
Well, and that's what we're using right now. But I think we're at 2.3. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just putting a number to it, because we're slowly but surely graduated into Web 3.0, which is a whole game changer and actually puts the control back in the creator in terms of monetizing their content. You know, people are the creators. Google and all these algorithms, they need us to create, like at least right now. Right. Mm-hmm. And so the Web 3.0 actually creates a whole lot of new opportunities, and we're going to just be slowly acclimated into that. But there's some exciting things, but it also can be a little bit overwhelming. So if you can easily get overwhelmed, don't do it. Don't go down the rabbit hole. Just kind of stick with what we talked about today.
Yeah, it's interesting because what I really, so I don't know if you guys know what the topic next week is going to be. I'll give you one guess. Misty said it's called the revival of the newsletter.
Nice.
And the thing is like, the bottom line is this all comes down to $1. Like, how are we going to make money? Like, do you guys remember this little girl? She had like 50 million followers on TikTok or something. And she's just a cute little girl. And this guy told her, I'll give you $50,000 if you could sell my, vacuum cleaner or whatever. And because he was proving the point that you have 50 million toddlers watching this, and none of them want a vacuum cleaner. So it wasn't really so how
it's got to be the right message to the right people at the right
Right.
time. I mean, if that audience is toddlers, maybe you sell them stuff that toddler toys and stuff.
Yeah, well,
They
or
probably don't want a lawnmower at that point.
what the parents want to buy, which is probably
Yeah.
a wooden spoon for a spanking. I don't know if you guys got that, but
You're not allowed to do that anymore, Sean. You're showing your age.
hey, man. But so my point is, like, what I really want to know is, like, we went from engagement to interaction. How do we go from an engagement to interaction, from interaction to, the next word to monetization?
Consumption.
Yeah.
I think consumption's the key, because if they don't consume, we can't
Right.
build a relationship.
And I
And then
think
with
the newsletter is the
paid
perfect
newsletter, right? If you have a newsletter and it has 10,000 people on it, and they're each paying $3 a month,
Yeah.
boom, that's it right there. And then you have to create the content for that. So I
have a GPT for that.
what's that? Oh, you do?
I have a custom GPT to create the newsletter content.
Nice.
Okay. What I would really like to see is where it writes it in your voice, and then it is somehow API'd to your CRM and autoresponder, and just blasts out the email and answers all.
That's been around forever, actually.
And answers all replies. I actually know how to do that, because I forgot his name, but if you hit reply and the subject line, it will interact based on the subject line in the email.
Yeah,
So
you can connect bots to it and stuff for sure.
So, but how do we do that? How do we do the if the newsletter is really being revived? I mean, how is AI affecting that? How is it bringing it back, and what do we need to do to where it doesn't?
We have a couple of custom GPTs. They don't have a specific voice because we're just using it across a number of things. But you can create a custom GPT that has the voice of the customer and the knowledge base of the customer. And then you can just say, hey, write me a newsletter about subject X, and it can use the stuff you've trained it on. It'll also use its repository of knowledge from its large language model. So
you can write it in
fairly automated.
Ian Kennedy's voice right now, and
Mm-hmm.
rest in peace. He's no longer here with us. And it's spot on.
Mm-hmm.
Write me a email in Dan Kennedy's voice using this criteria, and it nails it.
Yeah.
It's like eerie.
The AIs actually know about most of the big copywriters. If you ask it, Dan Kennedy, Frank Kern, or whatever your favorite guy is, they've consumed a fair amount of information about those copywriters.
You can
If
even
you're a
have
less
multiple
well-known
personalities.
it might not work.
I do
but-
a little bit. I do like a combo. I do John Carlton with a dash of Donald Miller.
There you go. You can absolutely combine personalities into your copywriting.
Yeah.
With the story brand formula. I mean, you should see my prompts. They're like go on forever. But yeah, I need to make a GPT. Simon, you're going to help me.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we're coming up to the top of the hour. So I'm wondering, like, with everything you guys just said, but with the revival of the newsletter, where I kind of want to go, if you guys want to meet again next week,
I might not be able to make it. I'm heading to England on Sunday, so I'm not sure what time I land, but it's 8 hours ahead. So this would be, I might have just landed. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, we do this every Monday, so
yeah.
But I'm wondering how
Newsletters are good. We've recently just brought them back.
Okay, I'm going to
So,
revive mine now. I
yeah,
do
no,
it
you,
from time to
yeah,
time.
it's definitely worth a discussion or two.
I'm
Okay,
starting to re-embrace it. I have
Yeah.
noticed they're
Yeah,
coming alive.
it took
but I
me
have
a
not
time,
done
but
it.
someone convinced me, and yeah, I'll try it. I think it's good.
So I want to tell you something. We have a speaker. Her name's Kimberly. She's going to be at the Automated Marketing Summit this Friday, October 25th at 12 noon Pacific. And she actually posted some, and I don't know if she was goofing, but she was like, why would you send out an email asking for someone to click a link to add their email address? You already have their email address. And she was just being silly. But for me, I remember I was killing my list because I went from writing this content, like, how to interact at how to network, and just like this email stuff. Then I started having my own events. So when I started blasting out, hey, see me over here, see me over there. What's it called? India 57 degrees, Simon, that place, the wine place. Anyhow, so I started having events there, and everyone started opting out.
Yeah.
So I learned I have to make a meetup and go, if you want to know about my events, go over here.
It's because maybe your content was too promotional all the time. A newsletter is informational mostly, and promotional just some of the times. You have to be providing good content. If you're constantly saying, attend my event, buy my stuff, buy my shit,
No, I was doing, everyone was reading it, and it was like informational.
It wasn't good enough.
But then when I said, hey, I have an event coming up, hey, don't forget about my event, I was like, hey,
they were never your, I guess you have to accept that they were never your customer anyway.
And then my dad,
every time I send out a newsletter, we get opt-outs. It's just
Yeah, but that's good. That's good, because you don't want them.
You don't want them. Yeah, they're costing you money anyway.
Yeah.
I say they're creating a space for someone that's going to pay you.
Exactly. Yeah,
Oh,
you want buyers. You don't want looky loos. You don't want freebie seekers. If they don't, if they don't open after 30 days, maybe you just put them on your unsubscribe list anyway. You want those, because for engagement, for Google and open rates and stuff, you want people opening and engaging with you. Because if you get too many no opens or spam complaints, is very tight. Google starts to go from the primary to the promotion to not even showing up eventually. So,
Simon, were you there when Craig Jacobson did that thing with Ocean Robbins, Paul McCartney, and Anthony Robbins, and he generated 100,000 leads in like a couple hours? And this was like 10 years ago. This is like in 20.
Did he? I mean, Craig was a genius. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And the thing was, is that he got throttled on a Friday.
Yeah.
And so we had to go from Infusionsoft to Entreport, and we had to talk to the president of Entreport, and they're like, and Infusionsoft says, no way can anyone do this. And we're like, it's Paul McCartney, Anthony.
Yeah.
Like it's a no-brainer. Yeah. That
you have to go to a dedicated email provider that can handle that. Yeah.
But when it comes to the AI and the email and the newsletter, some of the questions I have is, if you're writing content in AI, or if you're having AI integrated with your autoresponder to send out the email, what challenges, or how do you get throttled there, or are you going
to there's technical things, DKAIM and all that stuff that has to be set up, but then it's all about engagements. Again, if your content is crap or the headline is crap, people aren't opening it and engaging with it and reading it. The more and more you do of that, the worse and worse your deliverability. It just goes down the toilet. So it's quite a skill now to do a newsletter, because there's technical, there's a lot of creativity. It's not easy. It sounds easy, just send an email. It's actually very hard to do it at scale. If your list is 10 or 100, pretty easy. 1,000, not too bad. 10,000 gets a bit harder. 30,000 or 100,000, then that's where the problems. You need to hire some specialists.
Oh yeah, I have that with Ryan. I have to have Scalable at Shown Snow Day and Digital Marketer. He has so many millions of emails. I'm like, Ryan, I already bought that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and I just want to kind of wrap up with this. Does anyone here do automated list management? And do you know what I mean by that?
I do.
You do?
But yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be like if someone doesn't engage within, let's say, 40 days, then you're going to kick them off in another campaign and say, "Hey, you know, you bought the socks, now you need the shoes." And then if they don't engage with that, then you say, "Well, you know," so then that's what I'm all about. I'm all about that automated list management, and I'm all about the follow-up.
That will really help as well with making sure you're getting inbox. It's all about inboxing when you're doing newsletters and email. If you've got stuff people aren't doing stuff, move them somewhere else. Yeah.
So what I'm doing right now, I'm writing all the content, and I really want to sell this first, but I think it's kind of cool, and I'm writing these campaigns where people can just go into Keep, and I'm going to do it for Go High Level as well, to where all you got to do is change the date, the name of your event, the date, and the time, and you know it's all in the copy, so it's in the merge fields. So you just go in that campaign, update the merge field. This is getting nerdy right here, and then it just blasts out the thing, and every time you have an event, it's like, hey, it's saying the same things. But would that affect the inbox placement rate, being that it's the same content going in?
No, because again, that word engagement, what does that mean? It's not just opens anymore and reds. It's they respond back to you, that they click on buttons within the emails or links within the emails.
Or
So
forwarding it to someone else's. Any type of interaction helps Google understand that this person wants to read your stuff.
And that's another thing, just like with Automated Marketing Summit, like what we're doing here is going out to those people for them to engage and to go, oh, okay, these guys kind of know. But we give so much away here that they might just go, well, I don't need to go now because
no, they'll go. There's lots more, you have more time to share more nuggets. But the engagement thing, the reason why they can't track the open rates as an engagement point is because a lot of times on your, I don't have an Apple, whatever, just putting it out there. And so it doesn't track the opens on mobile phones.
Yes,
so
because
they can't use that as a data point. Otherwise, that would hurt and penalize all of us, because my husband opens every single email because he's on my list because I have him test stuff for me. And he never shows that he's opened an email ever.
Yeah.
So just, I mean,
it's because the tracking pixel is not firing.
No. Yep.
Well, I thought they turned that off on the iPhone.
I thought on the iPhone it's all 100%, but yeah. So engagement does not mean open anymore. I just want to put that out there because people think open is engagement, because it used to be, but that's not the case.
The open rates, your tools reports it's actually probably higher than that, because
much higher.
Yeah,
and my dad marked me as spam, so I was like, "Thanks, Dad."
You have to be real careful. You get too many of those, there's a very low tolerance. If you get too many of those, you're really going to end up in the spam box for everyone. It's a real thing.
Don't tell my husband about that. That's the only way he can silence me. All
right, you guys, I got a coaching call coming up in 2 minutes, so we're going to get on that. But if you guys want to show up next week, if you're not able to, that's fine. We join. Just for the listeners, we're here every Monday. It's not really a podcast, it's a live stream, but we're going to go over the revival of the newsletter and how AI is affecting the whole marketing world, right? And we're all on edge right now. We don't know what's up next, but then we kind of
it's all good.
Yeah, we're on the bleeding edge right now.
Yeah.
And so we're all figuring it out. All right, you guys.
All right, see you now.
All right, thank you.
Bye.